melhor sítio é isso. Porque uma pessoa que nasce naquele sítio onde nasce não lhe apetece sair para o outro lado.
Hello and welcome to Factual Animation Film Festival 2020, FAFF. And we have with us today Alexandra and Laura, who directed Drop by Drop, which you can find in the festival program that will be launching on the 17th of October. See the link below to book a ticket. And that's a digital release, so it'll be available for a week. But today we're going to be discussing some of the themes and some of the background and the sort of imagery in this film. So I'd like to hand it over to you two to really get this conversation started about maybe the background of the story, the context in which this this project developed.
You want to answer? Well, just to start, this project has a few years now, but it starts on a group of journeys that we did to the countryside. And
Of Portugal?
Of Portugal, yes, the countryside of Portugal. And at the beginning, we were looking about something to make a film, and we definitely have several subjects that we can explore in the countryside of Portugal. So the first place that we went to a carnival. It's a kind of a Portuguese tradition in the north of Portugal that people wear masks, and it's something really beautiful to see. But it's this is one of the main things that helped us to start to develop this short. And other thing that we want is to understand how the social and economic situation was in the countryside. We went to 4 villages, and each village we get something different. In the first one was the carnival. In the second one it was because there is a dam that was supposed to be built on that place, and we went there to record the opinion of the people about that subject. And there is several interviews that we did, and having all these materials, we start to create a narrative according to the people's testimonials. Yeah.
We also went to other 2 places. One was going to be completely covered. They were building the dam, and it was going to be completely covered in a few months. So we kind of did a track of a train that was going to be immersed. So it doesn't exist anymore now. It's just a dam. It's under the water, and that really influenced us to also make the film. And make the visuals. And also the other place where we went is this old village that was completely underwater in the 70s. And it's called Vilarinho das Furnas. And we also went there to see the village underwater, so you can still see some of the foundations of the houses there, the ruins. And when we did these journeys, we took the recorder and we interviewed some people, and then after we had all of the interviews, we also gathered a lot of sketches from those places and from the people that we saw, the backgrounds, all the scenarios that we saw during our time with them. And then we decided to make the film about these people, this context. We used the carnival, the subject of the carnival, as a metaphor.
To connect to the heritage, not material heritage, but the culture that people used to have in those villages. Because one of the village, it just have 4 people, and the youngest was 50. So it was one of the main things to help to guide the film, because we started about the dams, the how it will change the landscape and the people and the way of people's living. But suddenly, when we get there, the people's speech was more about, we are here alone. We don't have here. It's this place is completely abandoned. This was the main issue, not the dam itself. So
it was more about the isolation and the fact that people went away and they stayed there, and it was a lot about more of this people that we wanted to make the film about the people that wanted to stay and save these places that just exist because these people are still there. And the carnival is kind of a metaphor for that as well, because it can only exist while the people remember it and they can make it. Because if people go away from these small places where they make these carnivals, it stops existing. It's the same with if a village with 4 people, the youngest is 50. When that person dies, what happens
to the carnival?
To the village?
I'd like to. We have this carnival figure, and he seems to be. You can't necessarily know if he's demonic, he's evil, or if he's nice, if he's helping them. There's a lot of ambiguity there.
Yes.
So, do you mind expanding on that idea, this like mysterious figure?
Yeah, because if you go to these parties, these carnivals, they are quite aggressive.
It's part of the enchantment of it. It's that you don't know who they are. They are actually with the masks, and they hurt people, they steal things, they trash, they put the trash on the roads, and they destroy everything basically. But it's a party, everyone loves it.
Well,
and they say bad things as well. Very bad words.
Because if we go back like a few years ago, like 30 years ago, probably it might be too aggressive and people don't like it so much. But nowadays people enjoy it because it shows like the cultural heritage, you know, so people feel connected to, okay, we still have something that is a bit of our parties. Como é que se diz festas pagãs?
Pagan traditions.
Yeah, pagan traditions.
Yes, so if we see the things, they have aggressive and tricky attitudes, but I think they are really acarinhados.
They're loved.
They are loved by the people, and it just exists while people, it will be on these places. When there is no people on these places, this is stopped to exist. So it has this both sides, but everything has both sides. The progress, the technology, the dams has both sides, and we need to get the balance and don't be so selfish when we have the decisions like politically, economically, and all that stuff. And even the character of the guy of the carnival with the masks has 2 sides. It seems bad, but in the end, it shows that people from there, they have something that belongs to them.
Yeah, because one thing that we didn't say, it has to do with the dams and the building of the dams and why we chose these places to go. It has to do with that, with the forcing of people to leave these places. Like, for example, in that village, the Vilarinho das Furnas, that was underwater, and you can still see the houses there. They were moved from there, like it happens in a lot of places. It's not like just the Portuguese thing. And the thing of the geographical, geographically, it fits into the fact of the character being also the metaphor of the people staying there and wanting to reinforce their roots and where they're coming from, and that's being an important thing, that it stays even when people are forced to go, which is a reality. People have they have to go away for reasons of work. These people stayed beyond progress. I
was very interested by this, your strategies for representing absence. You know, this story is a lot about people going away, things disappearing, things sort of drifting off. And so there seem to be many ways in which you represented absence as a kind of presence. So we have this demonic figure who's also all black and there's no light coming out of him. We have the water, which only through the backstory do we know is related to a dam. When you watch it cold, you see it as a visual metaphor only. So it's very interesting to see how literal that connection it actually is. But yeah, all the way through, we're talking about absence as presence. And I think that's very interesting. Was it as conscious, or is it all just the sort of the way things turned out?
Well, water, it's used in that way of
Because
forget.
at the beginning, the idea of the dam moved us, and it's something that it happens a lot, that people have to move away because of in order to give a place to a dam, and it has a strong impact in the landscapes and the people's lives and the sociological way of people relate to themselves. All of these things change. And we were looking for that, and we found that in the places, in the landscape, and people in places underwater, but actually not in the people's voice. We decide to adopt the speech of the people, but we cannot deny that that the impact that the dams have on those places. So we use as a metaphor, as like something that expulsa, expel people from that places. So from those places. So it's something that moved us to make the film. It was not on the speech of the people, but we want to keep it alive, because even as an image, it's really strong. It really helps us to make to transport the feeling of what people saying by images, because people start to get unable to breathe on those places, and when they get underwater, it's a visual sign of it. There is no more oxygen here for us to breathe. It's just water. It's a way of seeing the esquecimento, forgetting. Yeah.
Also the wind. The wind is an important factor that brings people away as well from these places, but always like as a metaphor.
But again, also invisible.
Yeah. No, those elements are really strong in when we speak about cinema. You know, when you have wind and water and fire, they can express so much things that we are just able to use it in moving image. So even in drawing, we should take some advantage of those elements, and it makes sense for us because it really helps us to improve the speech of the people. Once we are not showing them, I think this kind of things help us to get some feeling.
More depth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it's a stunning film. I think it's really beautiful, and really enjoyed it. So I'd like to thank you both, Alexandra and Laura, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you, Alex.
I'd like to remind the audience that we have tickets available for the online screening of this film, Drop by Drop, in the rest of the program, which will be live on the 17th of October 2020. And you can find tickets at the link below. That will be available for a week, a small fee. So thank you again. This has been FAFF 2020, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.